Welcome back to the LEC ahead of SK facing off against Vitality. And now there's been a lot of ups and downs with SK Gaming, but particularly in the previous weekend, they were able to bring down Rogue through some team fighting that happened later on in the stages of the game. And this is very late. On the line right here is the next dragon that's going to be spawning. This is a Hex Soul Dragon for SK. They have 3 in a row, and Rogue somehow need to break that line of vision that SK has on the map and enter that river to try and team fight. As I keep playing the clip, you'll see that a few things that need to happen for a team to actually get into that river for the dragon is if the whole map is dark, you push down that mid lane wave so then you can enter into the river. But most importantly, you need that one face checker, your tank, to be able to be there to face check first for you. So as I keep playing the clip, you'll see that Odo Amne will clear out his wave and then he will TP straight into that mid lane. What Rogue will do pretty well right here is they will shove in this wave and they will force SK to reply to them. Now, who's replying to them? It's going to be Jezu. At this point, this is what Rogue know. They only see Jezu under tier 1 mid lane, they see Gilius in the river, and that's pretty much it. So what they do is they literally enter that river blind. Now, of course, having Odo right there onto the Ornn wins them a lot of space because the Ornn can push further down and get some room here. He can pressure over on the side and get some vision on the side. Trying to find Jenax and Sertuss is of pivotal importance for Rogue, but right here, the second Malrang engages onto the Poppy, onto Gilius, then SK knows that the 3 members that entered this bush have not actually exited the bush, which gives a very easy walk into that bush from Sertuss and Jenax onto the Savannah, and as you will see, the backline is extremely exposed from the side of Rogue. SK make the right call, they jump into the backline and they obliterate all of the squishes. Now, why we're bringing this up? Because that teamfight for SK was very pivotal to the run for playoffs. And if we bring up the standing splits production, I'm going to show you the importance of this particular weekend for SK Gaming moving forward. Now, I will be able to highlight right here SK Gaming so we can keep a track on what they do. And let's say that this weekend, SK, usually a team would need 9 wins to make it into playoffs and start not sweating anymore, but that's not the case anymore. So SK need this win, they need this win over Excel, and they need this win over G2. And as you will see on the other hand side, the percentage, I'll read it. The percentage of scenarios with at least a tiebreaker for playoffs go up to 70.1%, which means that the SK are still not locked 100% for playoffs, even if they win all the remaining of 3 games.
I believe they for sure have to win 2, and ideally win 3, and then yet things are up in the air, which is just a product of the way the split has been going for them, unfortunately. But we saw signs of life there versus Rogue. The question is, will they be able to do that versus Vitality? And Ender, we've had such an interesting couple of weeks with a Vitality who have changed the narrative around them completely, almost, I don't know, it's like we didn't notice it, but they've been crushing it and are now on a comfortable path towards those playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, Perkz and Alphari have been looking good pretty much all split, but Haru has come in with such a huge impact in the early games, invading the enemy jungler, specifically playing around Perkz in the mid lane too, and it seems like Vitality that plays through Perkz opens up the entire map. Perkz has always been a player getting around the map, so now that we have Haru and Perkz working so well together in that mid jungle 2v2, the world is their oyster, really.
And it's really interesting because it is a complete departure from the early style we saw coming out of Haru.
And of course, we have to remember Vitality is a team with 3 junglers on the roster right now. One of them is Haru, who started the start of the split really slow, but we've been hearing tales about Bo and how he has been tearing apart solo queue, how easy he was able to get to that rank 1, how a lot of the pro players are like, well, unlucky, I queued up for a solo queue game and Bo is in upon a team 15-minute FF.
And by the way, LeBlanc is just at the top there, but it's interesting how it correlates how Haru has been cleaning up his play.
You know, Shucks, I really feel like they don't make LP like they used to. Because when I was here, I feel like challenger players at the top at like 1,200, 1,300. LeBron's up to 17. It's insanity.
Magic Felix broke the ladder, guys.
Yeah, he did. There might, of course, not be a connection, but we just wanted to shine a light on how Bo is doing. But regardless, the entirety of Vitality and Haru as a crucial element of that is doing very, very well. It seems like they must have then overcame some of the troubles they had. So what has been different? Where have they specifically significantly improved upon.
Well, again, so much has been attention towards the mid lane, right? Like Haru last week is ganking mid lane twice, skirmishing in the bot side river before he's hitting level 4. LeBlanc is dodging out of bot lane, actually roaming out of bot lane, even without priority, just leaving his AD carry sort of on an island with the wave in a standstill to get a gank in the mid lane. They are being very fluid with that core of 3 players to find every opportunity they can scrounge up.
And I think one of the bigger thorns earlier in the season was the fact that mid to late game looked a little bit scrappy. They looked a little bit uncoordinated. There were a lot of times one by one diving into the fights, but that has changed completely. They're gelling in together. They know who their engagers are, and it feels like the team is trusting each other, and that's very important.
Absolutely, and it looks like a bit of new territory also if you're watching them, if you're a Vitality fan, but I just think if you've been following the LEC, because, you know, we had the super team and we said it a million times and then they didn't really live up to that, so that was that. But now, and they're quietly, they are putting the tools together in order to perhaps make a deep playoffs run even.
Yeah, I mean, this team obviously has the talent, and we were waiting to see Haru incorporate into the roster after being the biggest change, really, coming into this summer season for them. And the solo lanes have always been solid. I can't stress that enough. They have looked good. They have what it takes to carry Vitality deep. And if they continue to work as well as they are playing around Perkz in the mid lane, they could do some serious damage for us.
I mean, what if we even see Vintage Perkz in the playoffs? Who knows with the way he's been going on recently.
Vintage 80s, you know?
Yeah, that's how it goes. So let's talk then about the specific matchup versus SK, where the stakes are now, of course, extremely high, as they have been for the last couple of weeks. With what you've shown me in that Telestrator segment and what they can do if they have their minds in the right place, what kind of a chances do you give them and what kind of approach should SK take?
I think at this point we've seen everything. So it is a 50-50 between Vitality and SK Gaming. I think the most pivotal part of the game will be the early game. Haru versus Gilius, and they're mentioning when they came in with the Poppy, they took everyone off guard and they managed to get that to a weekend. Can they replicate that? Can they shut down that early game aggression from Haru? And most importantly, I'm most looking at that top lane because Alphari has been on absolute fire, and the constant question is, he's great in lane. Can he translate that into team fights? Same exact thing from Jenax. He was great in lane over in Spring. He couldn't translate quite well into team fights. Now both of these guys are actually shining on the top side of the map, so I can't wait to see the head-to-head.
I couldn't agree more for the jungle and top side, and I think in particular Gilius, he's always kind of been a huge feast or famine player. Yeah. He has to, this week, be feast. He cannot be feeding. He has to be, you know, eating everything up himself. And honestly, for the team, him having an early game impact, him not falling super far behind, very important. The team also loves to fight around Rift Herald on the top side of the map, so I want them to choose their battles wisely because it's not going to be an easy battle here up against Vitality's top side.
I love the way you put that. You have to choose your battles very, very wisely. One mistake could cost you the playoffs, could cost you a chance at Worlds. Time for SK versus Vitality.
Thank you so much, Shocks. Just like you said, one mistake could cost you a shot at playoffs, will cost you that shot at Worlds. Some could say, Dagda, that every game counts.
Or we could not.
Well, I just did. I just did. Let's turn our attention to draft. What do you want to see from these teams? Because obviously Vitality, heavy favorites. They've not dropped a game to SK since 2021 spring. That was bad timing in a question. Let's go music. So, same question. What do you want to see from draft?
So I actually agree with Ender. I think we want to see Gilius performing well, but it's actually looking back through the drafts, and there's only been 2 times that I've seen a strong mid jungle come out from this squad for SK over the last little while. And those 2 were against Astralis and Rogue, the 2 victories that they picked up. So I really want to see them try and pin that down in this draft here. Get something where they have that winning 2v2 and then look to play into these pick styles, because that seems to be where their strengths lie.
Well, right now, Trundle, Poppy, Yuumi find themselves in the ban pool. Vitality will remove that Kalista. That will make my LPL buddy very happy. Definitely one of the picks we don't see a huge amount here. do you see a little bit more Draven as well? Something to be considered when you do think about the games for the rest of today?
Yeah, like we'd be looking at a lot more like Xerxe that would come up, Wukong going to be taken off the board with Poppy, but like things like Talia as well are super high priority over in the LPL, but not getting as much of that here. But I do think it can work out exceptionally well and takes a lot of those really difficult junglers off the board as well, because a lot of them do want to try and jump in, and actually does work well against matchups like this Sylas if it is picked up first.
I will say the Talia has been pretty popular over the last few weeks. We didn't see it in game number 1. We'll see whether or not she finds herself available and selected. Vi is locked in. It's one of the more, should I say, controversial junglers. A lot of people have strong opinions, but it can play into what you were saying, mid-jungle duo.
But I actually love it. I think Vi is super strong in the current patch. She locks down a ton of these more mobile carries like the Xerxe that we're highlighting. And I think she has her spot right now in the meta. Now, not obviously the most mobile of champions in Sivir, but definitely can take over in the early stages if you're able to play through that strong mid-jungle. Jarvan going to be taken, though, for Haru. We've seen he's very capable of playing towards his lanes as of late, like linking up with Labrov. This is where I'm going to be looking to see if that mid-jungle support of Vitality can take over.
Now, this Jarvan is only the second time we've seen from Haru all year. The only other game that he did play on the pick, it was a loss. I do, however, love seeing the Rakan in the hands of Treatz. Again, this is a team that has struggled, so despite the fact it's the 3rd time in Summer, he's lost both previous attempts on the champion, it does play into Treatz's strengths. Sertuss will lock in the LeBlanc. Mid-jungle, do you like this combo?
Yeah, really strong at the moment, but I think you can take something like a Sylas here for perks and still be relatively okay. Like, you get access to the Vi ultimate then, you get a decent matchup against the LeBlanc in the mid lane, at least one you can survive through, and then you do have a very strong combo with that Jarvan if you want to try and link up with it, especially if you are going to keep playing towards that mid lane like Vitality. I'm surprised to see the LeBlanc though. I actually thought we would see something like the Xerxe or at least the AD carry locked in here for Jezu to try and match what Vitality have, because now you can ban away some of these high priority AD carries and you're kind of left in an odd spot here, especially as well. Zaya taken off the board, the Xerxe goes where now you're like Aphelios, maybe you're something like the Jinx or something along these lines that aren't exactly the best answers into the dive composition that Vitality have.
Not the strongest options, and of course Jezu, when we look through the champions played, Jinx, Ezreal, Xerxe, Aphelios, Kai'Sa, he's even got a Draven under his belt and a Vayne, just as an aside. But the Ahri was going to be the pick there for perks. The one thing I will highlight, Sertuss has played that LeBlanc once this summer. He actually went unkilled. It was a fantastic performance from him, and it obviously helped lead towards the win. I want to see some confident play because for SK, super tough weekend. Even if they win all 3 games, just like Trouble was highlighting, it will only increase the number of scenarios in which they advance, maybe even with that tiebreaker, to 70%. They need some help from the rest of the league. It starts with picking up an upset win against Vitality. I think when you look at the most recent weeks, Vitality very heavily favors.
Yeah, I'm curious to see though what way Vitality want to try and play it the rest of this draft, because the Alistar is going to be banned away, so they're obviously putting pressure on towards Labrov in that bot side. So I imagine they are going to keep the counter pick for Alphari, but something we actually see a lot is just taking the Gnar off rip, like just going, hey, Gnar is so incredibly strong, there's very few bad matchups, unless you want to go for something like the Aurelia, but that requires a lot of resources towards JeongHoon in the top lane. Now, JeongHoon did spectacular in week 7, the highest damage dealer on SK, so maybe that is where they want to put those resources, but we just have to see exactly what the plan is for Vitality.
And what will Alphari run? Out of his season thus far, the 15 games played, he has 9 on Gnar. He will this time around lock in the Ornn. Only played it once, also went unkilled. We'll lean again towards the team fighting that we've seen being a bit of a trend here in Europe, and we're waiting for Labrov then to counterpick the support. Jezu needs to lock in his bot laner, JeongHoon needs to lock in his top laner, and we're going to get a Yasuo top into that Ornn.
That's pretty spicy. Is it going top though? This could be like a Rakan Yasuo bot lane that we could be looking at here, which might be it. Because honestly, I think going for something like a Sejuani or something along these lines, the top side is probably your best bet. Unless you want to go for something like a Camille and go spit spice here. But never mind, we're going even more than that. We're getting the Darius top lane.
Yo, okay. So you're saying Yasuo, Rakan bottom lane. I'm going to have to ask my stats team for some Yasuo stats on Jezu. I don't have them immediately at hand. While the stats team are looking that up, what are we going to have as this final answer? There's grins, by the way. Perks and Kazi are grinning. Look at that cheeky smile from Kazi. He knows he's going to have an interesting laning phase.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Galio hover here by Labrov, like trying to find ways to shut down what is just going to be a wombo combo of everyone jump in and hope for the best. I think that Galio can definitely help to separate the fight, cause issues on that fight, but my word is everything on SK Gaming is going to be focused on making sure that Jezu comes out of this laning phase unscathed, because you need this Yasuo to be your DPS. He needs to be the late game carry, and he's the one that's going to be working off of Rakan engages, Vi engages, even Darius just hooks will be able to enable Jezu.
How the hell do SK take towers unless they absolutely kill everything on Vitality's side? Also, wouldn't it be beautiful irony to take down Perkz, to defeat Vitality, when Perkz was running Yasuo in the bot lane just a few years ago?
It would be absolutely gorgeous, but we'll have to see if Perkz wants to try and shut down that Yasuo, because definitely when you're looking at Haru and Perkz, you have good amount of wave control there with the Ahri. You can look to try and play around the charm as well for the Jarvan, and I would not be surprised to see them playing down towards this bot side. Just make sure Yasuo does not have a good time.
I'm about to jump into it. I've just heard from stats that in fact there are 4 professional games from Jezu on Yasuo. 1 in the LFL, 3 of them in an off-season tournament. He went 2-2 on the pick, and if I recall correctly, it was back in 2020 or 2021. So Jezu has experience with this. It was with the Misfits Academy roster. Can he use the Yasuo bot to pop off against Vitality? Now, Dagda, you know I love my useless, weird, and wonderful stats. Do you want to know the last time we saw Darius in the LEC?
I'm assuming it was Adam.
It was indeed. Yeah. Well done on that one. Yeah. Do you think he won or lost?
No.
No, he lost both games. Yeah. Both games, in fact.
I'm pretty sure one of them was pretty miserable as well.
That was so good. That was such a good dunk after the layup. Do you think Gen X will have a little bit more luck when we look at this composition? The biggest thing for me is range. I do see, obviously, initiation tools, multiple knockups. You've got the ability to dash forward, long range, coming from Jezu's Yasuo. But you have to have hot hands. Your fingers have to be on fire to make this work.
Yeah, I think the idea here from SK is, look, everyone's focused on the Yasuo, right? The Yasuo is going to be, hey, he's being pushed in by Karzi. Karzi can start taking chip damage, so Perkz and Haru want to try and make sure he gets vision, make sure they can maybe look for dives even on towards Jezu and Treatz on this bot side. So everything is set up to play around bot side. So Gen X is going, right, well, if that's going to be the case, I can just bully Ahri in this matchup. I'll take the Darius. If they put resources up into me, cool. Well, then they're not putting resources into denying Jezu access to his lane. So that's a bit of a win. So Gen X definitely going to be having fun in the lane phase. It'll be a question mark how that then breeds into the rest of the game.
Okay, I want to start with one more question mark as we see the lanes starting to take shape. Both Haru and Gilius starting in the top half of the map on their red and blue respectively. Both waves starting to push forward. You have to anticipate Jezu and Treatz falling behind, being somewhat bullied by Galio's Winds of War, all of the AoE that can come out from that Sivir. And I want to shine a spotlight onto Gilius and Haru. It's formed a large bulk of not only Haru and Vitality's season, but Gilius' performance and impact for the team. He's the player that we have high expectations if he wants to help SK win.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that Gilius, a lot of the times, isn't really paired with a strong mid laner in Sertuss. Like, you look at things like the Sylas, right? Sylas gets pushed in the early stages. You're looking at things like the Akali that he's brought out twice as well. They're just not things that get control over the mid lane particularly easy. And it does mean that, well, as we can see from Haru, he can look for invades. Like, he can try and be a nuisance for this opposition. And this has been something Gilius has been very prone to thus far in the second half of the split.
And what I really like, if you look at the minimap, Karzi and LeBlanc pushed that wave forward as is expected. Already there was a move. LeBlanc stepped into the jungle. Look at this. 2-man stack already. Gilius could be under threat. The mid wave is being pressured too. Demacian standard as well as that flag and drag. Not going to find the knockup, but Gilius forced to run. Escape from his own jungle. He's lost the chickens, and he's going to lose the bramble.
He's going to lose everything. Like, you can't even try and trade this on the opposite side, because you had Haru start on top side, so Haru now gets red. Gilius could be in trouble from the taunts.
Oh, going to be able to dash away for now. Flush not used just yet. LeBlanc committed his. All of a sudden, the chain catches out onto LeBlanc. He's going to be able to use that Justice Punch to escape. 4-man stack from SK. Go! 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 LeBlanc gets chunked down.
He's no flash.
Lightning. He's got no flash. He's in trouble. First blood available. Justice Punch to safety. Jezu not going to be able to find the slash. He flashed for that one as well. He escapes from that steal. Celestial Tempest.
And look at the bot side. Like, you're getting this massive CS lead for Xerxe. Like, this wave is pushing into Xerxe, so he gets to do what he wants, and you're losing everything as Jezu. That's heartbreaking.
Dagda, SK Gaming ran Vi, Yasuo, Rakan. What did it cost? Everything!
Oh, no.
Oh, this is so troublesome. What does it result to in the Grand Prix? So, 22 CS to 11. I think the expectation was that Xerxe was going to have a lead anyway, and that should extend.
It gets even worse because you get a big experience lead on Xerxe as well, because Jezu basically lost all those creeps of experience as well, not just the gold. So, Xerxe having this solo advantage should be able to ding 4 off of this wave. You can see it on the experience in the bottom left side of the corner. But the other big loss here is for Gilius. Like, Gilius lost almost his entire bot quadrant, whereas look at Haru. His entire bot side is still there. So Haru just gets to roam back into his own side, and he's going to pick up this big advantage for himself there as well.
I want to keep an eye on the levels. You'll see Gilius right now, level 4, sitting in 1100 experience. I want to keep tabs on Haru, who is still technically a little behind. It's a small advantage there. But how will these next few minutes play out? LeBlanc and Xerxe will have some support. Haru's just dinged 4. No flash for Jezu. Haru's not going to go for that play. But there's a ping on the Tribush. Do they fancy a shot here?
Oh, this is so well played. He played around the ward. Now you just got to wait for the flag and drag. Jezu and Treatz are so overextended. This is Haru playing so incredibly smart around this wave state.
Oh, let's see what happens. Justice punch forward. Knockup from Treatz. Beautifully done. Knockup comes up from Haru. Winds of War start to tag. Xerxe is exhausted. 200 hit points. Ignite comes out. Boomerang blade tags once more. Ricochet to follow. And Jezu escapes with his life for now. The burn won't secure the kill. But again, the Yasuo lane being bullied. Pushed away. No way they get it. Tomasian standard. Will he chuck the flag out? Not this time round.
No, but again, you're losing more CS to this bot side. So a 20 CS lead already opening up for Xerxe in this bot side. Treatz, you know they're there. You don't need to check it.
No.
Again, this is exactly what Vitality wanted. Like, now Gilius will be able to move in towards his top side and steal some camps away to even back up in the experience department, but bot lane is already over, and this is what we were saying for Jezu. He needed to have a safe laning phase, and he's not getting it.
Crikey, this composition is being bullied around.
All right, Steve,
I think it was somewhat to be expected in the early game. It is only a 200 gold lead, so I think then I'm going to go like way back in time to a classic golden oldie caster term, where like the first few ultimates from this Yasuo, Darius, Rakan combination, much like the old Shen and Twist of Fate, they have to garner an advantage because otherwise it becomes really difficult. But you also can't disregard the fact the initiation tools are there the whole time, even when behind. Treatz is going to be able to look for the engage. LeBlanc started channeling that Hex Smash real early. He knew it was coming.
Kind of styling on Treatz a little bit there, but I will say you have great pick potential here on SK side, right? Between the Vi, the LeBlanc, the follow-up that can come through from Jezu, Treatz being there too. So definitely SK can try and look for plays, and I think that's the best way to try and work this one out, right? If Vitality are going to dedicate resources up towards Rift Herald in a minute's time, all right, you go and take that dragon on bot side. Like, try and get yourself into the game where you're at a more even state.
Now let's talk about those dragons for a brief moment. It doesn't look like any engages. Team Vitality, they've had a pretty significant gold lead at 14. You see plus 1k. Sertuss will get taunted up as my timing is pretty bad. He should escape for now, passive pop. But specifically, first dragon, 33%. Drake control, 47%. What do you make of Vitality's dragon control? And also, what it might mean in this comp? We may have an engage before you answer that, though.
I mean, you've got Haru here. He's baiting.
Yeah, the apprehend won't find a target. Decimate flies out. All the Forge Guard flashed away from, and JeongHoon escapes with his life, but no kill. He did use the summoners.
Nice apprehend, though. The apprehend interrupted the knockup from Alphari, so managing to get away from that one. Haru, though, still on the hunt here as he trying to sniff out if JeongHoon is going to stick around, but I do think, like, looking at the dragons that you brought up, like, for Vitality, they haven't been paying attention to them. This, I think, is a great example of it, right? We're 8 minutes into the game, you've had full push essentially on bot side, you've had push in mid as well. You can take the dragons whenever you want. I mean, right now could be a time that Haru's doing it, but it hasn't been their focus of attention, and it does mean when they get into the mid game, they're not being able to push the game forward as effectively as they'd like try and push advantages at the 23 to 25 minute mark when they have these gold leads by forcing third, fourth dragon fights.
And of course, for SK, if they're able to find or to corral Vitality, a multi-person apprehend, a multi-person grand entrance from Rakan can have huge impact for Jezu, who still is only 15 CS down in this bottom lane. The reason I say only, their lane could have run a lot more away. They're going to be able to pick up a plate here as Alphari's lane swap, so Herald is going to be the focus.
Yeah, I'm keeping my eyes on Perkz though, because Perkz was leaning to the spot side to see if he wanted to try and cover for that, but not going to be the case. So I imagine what Vitality are going to do is use the fact Karzi and Labrov are up here. They'll continuously push in top, and then you immediately take that Rift Herald and plonk it in towards this top side as well. So Karzi just gets even more ahead over Jezu.
I didn't expect the word plonk. Plonk it in. That's such a great word. But the tension is building here. I mean, I got very nervous. There's opening minutes of gameplay with SK chasing really aggressively into Vitality. They're still only 400 gold down. So it's relatively speaking close. All of those initiation tools are just about online. Treatz momentarily away from hitting level 6. And it does look like either a Rift Herald or a Dragon could be a pretty big fight if either team starts to contest it.
Yeah, I just don't think this is the time for SK. Like, you want to get as many resources as possible for this Yasuo. So what I prefer to see them do is like keep Yasuo bot side. He pushes in onto the spot side, and then you move him directly over towards the Dragon so you can pick that one up for yourself. So now Jezu is actually caught in a bad spot on top side, where if you end up having this immediate movement into the top lane coming through from Vitality, they're going to get caught under the tower and start to lose out on more CS. Whereas you're actually going to see that's JeongHoon who's getting the resources dedicated to on bot side. So I think trying to match this map rotation here by SK is a bit of a mistake.
Well, for SK, they will secure that Dragon. Plays into the prep we were talking about. Vitality as a team, not particularly invested in those Dragons. What I will say, though, with the Rift Herald picked up, and you look at their first tower percentage, their first Herald percentage, 83%. Gold difference at 14, 1.6k. There's no kills on the board, but that is the playstyle that has been working very well for Vitality in the second half of the season, where really they've started to identify the drafts that work for them. I think in particular, the Sivir changes really brought cohesion to the squad, and they've got a very similar style of drop to what they've had success with in the past.
I think the big one is kind of seeing that Karzi's fine to be left on his lonesome, but that isn't what's happening in this game. They're like, hey Karzi, you're going to get all the resources. Here comes more.
Here comes more. Jarvan making his step forward. Waiting for the flag, and Drag Treat's still only level 5, hiding in the bush. This support from Gilius, just south of the river. No engage yet. I am balancing on a knife's edge, because when SK go in, they are going in hard with this composition.
Yeah, there's no escape. There's no back out button whenever you go in with this, so you need to make sure you're doing it at the right time.
Now, give me some expectations here. When you look at this draft, when do you start to get nervous? Obviously, the gold lead, the range difference is one thing, but you also can't discount that they can just obliterate a target if they find someone a little bit out of position. So it's hard for me to read when I should get nervous for SK.
I mean, I think for SK, finding fights in, post 2 items and objectives is going to be your best bet. When Jezu does have a ton of damage that can follow up, you've got a great wombo with maybe JeongHoon with a flash apprehend, Gilius with the knock-up, Treatz with the quickness if he can hit onto multiple members. And if you catch Karzi, you catch Perkz with that, there's just no going back. Then your game's over here for Vitality. But for Vitality, they're playing out the map well. And I think this is, as you were highlighting with their stats, been the game plan for Vitality. They've been so good at trading up on the map when it comes towards side lanes, like getting onto these tier 2 structures as well, and using the fact that they have these small advantages where they position on the map to actually continue pushing the game forward, at least for a good while in the mid game.
Let's talk a little bit about this Gilius performance as well. Once again, early pickup on that Kempung Chain Sword. Despite the pressure early and some of the shenanigans at level 1 and 2, he's even on levels, he's even on CS, he's only marginally behind in gold. And we've had a pretty tense start to the game. I think expected. I don't think the SK comp really wanted to have big engages early on, as Gilius is going to go forward. This ultimate battery comes down, follow up, the final strike. Here comes LeBlanc. The next target will find a multi-man taunt. The flag and drag from Haru by time. Cataclysm locks Gilius in place. It's a 1-for-1 trade in the mid lane.
Great response from Vitality, and that's what we're talking about with Labrov. Last picking the Galio here, making sure that he can get in with that hero's entrance to not allow SK to go for these pick plays. So really nice job by Labrov to follow up, and Haru in the right place, the right time to shut that one down. Now with Rift Herald in tow, they're going to immediately move up towards this top side. Jezu, I don't think you want to approach this tower.
No flash, no exhaust, no ultimate. There will be some support from Treatz. By the way, I hate having Rakan and Galio in the same game. Grand entrance, Hero's entrance is just annoying. But Berlin, let's go! Vitality, 1,200 gold ahead. Shelly will get booped under the tower, as Jezu's going to be able to use that sweeping blade to dash forward. The engage, you can see how it will work. I don't think there was enough damage to kill Perkz super rapidly. But as he got that one dash of the Spirit Rush off, that was when the kill was picked up.
Yeah, you can get an idea of what they want to achieve though. Having this big group suddenly pounce onto one person in his pick stall is going to be really strong, and that can get stronger if you're able to connect onto several people with the Rakan or with the upper hand of Darius. But great response from Vitality. Labrov coming in, locks everyone up in place. It gives time for Haru to come in, and Haru at this point in the game, a lot of damage on this Jarvan, especially that Cataclysm is going to hurt. So nice turnaround, and although you're kind of looking going, hey, you know, Perkz is kind of even to Sertuss. That big advantage is going to be Xerxe, who is massively ahead in comparison to Jezu.
I mean, 12 minutes Kraken Slayer secured, still up that 24 CS. Perkz has just hit level 11. Flash is available to him, gets caught up in the air! Final breath, and Jezu with a Steel Tempest picks up his first of the game. Let's take a quick look at the goal. Total goal brought to you by Santander. Where is Jezu sitting 4th on the server behind Sertuss, Perkz, and Kavi, and not significantly behind? That is what SK's comp wanted to do. This makes me excited, Dagda. And this is like crazy style of play.
And the thing is, they're doing it at great times, right? Labrov doesn't have a dragon in 15 seconds as well. And now you've got Perkz off the map with no TP. So SK may try and look to see if they can worm their way in towards this bot side objective. They are using their time, though, to actually put pressure onto the bottom side of the map. And this might leave JeongHoon in trouble because there's a lot of Vitality here.
Fight! Fall of the Forge God, Kazi's on the hunt, Boomerang Blade comes out, flash forward.
Oh my God!
Good job, Guillotine! The bleed is ticking with 5 stacks, and Kazi is almost being taken down. The level up! Did that save him? That was close. That was a hair away. But the damage from JeongHoon with nothing completed? Crikey, that's shocking!
I mean, with the cargo shorts, you do look a little bit like Steve Irwin.
A little bit. I'm from that part of the world as well, you know, Southern Hemisphere folk. I don't even know if people in the audience know who Steve Irwin is. There's 2 people. There are 2 people that wooed. Well, the fight's not done yet. Gilius throws down the ulti. It's golden tailed away as Perkz will fly, stay alive with that Spirit Rush. The Wind Wall is doing a lot to prevent follow-up, and Haru picks up the kill onto Jezu. Now Treatz pops a stopwatch himself, but I think he's a dead duck in the middle lane. Haru with another follow-up, 2 quick kills to Vitality.
The CC chain was just too strong for Treatz to try and get the battle dance away there. So now with Rift Herald available, Vitality are going to be able to get this one as well. And if they can start to deny access to the map for SK, that's where it becomes really dangerous, because you can't look for picks anymore. You don't really have anyone who wants to really phase check against Vitality. And into, you know, Labrov, Haru, Perkz, Alphari, every one of these is going to be able to start that CC chain that just decimates SK.
2,000 gold up, second Herald will be secured. The second Dragon was picked up by SK, and we are playing for an Infernal Rift. Think about what that Infernal Soul could do for SK's comp, because when you see this initiation, this is the one challenge they have to overcome. Hourglasses and stopwatches and that spell are going to be very disruptive.
Yeah, it's all about, again, just buying time as much as possible here. Perkz having that stopwatch means that you don't get that burst damage from Jezu. Perkz able to escape away, and Jezu, like, I mean, look at the amount of CC there. Like, Jezu just doesn't get to move. Alphari even TPing in to try and make sure that this isn't now becoming a problem. It will give a little bit of time for the LeBlanc on the bottom side of the map to, like, crash a wave, but realistically, Alphari being behind isn't going to be an issue as much as Jezu and this pick comp not getting ahead.
Now, this pick comp needs to ensure that when they do initiate, they find those kills, they find those picks. That's literally what it's designed to do. Flash is going to be available for Jezu in a moment. He's nearly working his way towards that second point in the final breath. Take a look at the itemization in just a moment, because no mythic for him or for Gilius just yet. That is going to be very important because they are still behind on the itemization curve.
And I think this is such a cool thing, though, to see coming through from SK when everything is on the line for them, right? They need to be able to pick up all of their wins to try and up that percentage of scenarios that they're able to get in towards playoffs, but they need to try and find some way to stop the push that's coming through from Vitality.
Well, the first tower in the middle lane will drop. That's 2 secured for Vitality. They picked up the top lane as well. You talked about those percentage scenarios. If Vitality win this, they will have at least a tiebreaker locked in. And they are in a strong position as well. Still got that CSE in the bottom lane. I want to see what JeongHoon is going to be able to do on this Darius. The Stride Breaker is going to help a lot. And we saw how much damage he already put onto Kazi before that was completed. Then consider that both Haru, Perkz, Kazi, not the tankiest of champions, right? So there is the possibility for resets on that Noxian Guillotine.
Well, he's going to need to try and use that now.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault. I did not curse him. That was not my fault. JeongHoon is locked inside the Cataclysm. A lot of ultimates being used. Teleport's being channeled.
Oh,
and Sertuss is now in some trouble. Flash is available to him in SK. They're too late to save the day.
And this is where SK needed to look across maps. You invest everyone onto that top side as Vitality. Right, let's look at mid tower. Let's try and pick that one up. Let's try and get some vision control for this dragon that's in a minute and a half. I mean, for SK, you just aren't able to fight right now in a 5v5. So looking at what you can get on the map, especially with, in trading for this dragon in just a moment's time, is going to be crucial for them.
It's going to be so important. A minute and a half. Despite the goal deficit, I have to ask, Berlin, I have to ask people at home, do you think that SK Gaming's comp will succeed? If you're on Discord, head over to Discord at lec.gg and vote. I want to see what the fans and the viewers at home think. It is an uphill battle. At the time I requested this graphic, they were not 3,000 gold down. So it is now a more difficult option to buy into, especially as Kos just picked up the Phantom Dance.
I will say, if anyone knows how well a Yasuo can do from a deficit, it's probably Perks. So I will say the fact you have a Yasuo here will mean that SK still have a good chance of trying to come back to it. And just with the amount of engage, if Jezu can get to a point where he is strong, it is going to be very scary for Vitality.
Dagda, let's look at this dragon. Less than 40 seconds to go. The Immortal Shield Bow has been secured for Jezu. Vision is pushed pretty deep, or at least into the entrances for Vitality jungle. So SK in the river first, they've got the vision, and Alphari's alone up top.
So I'm watching Karzi's spell shield. He just used it there. So 20 seconds until that's back up. This is the timer that SK are trying to play around. If they take out Karzi or they take out Perks, that's where they can try and end this. The fact that Alphari's pushing topside as well means that it is an uneven fight for just a moment.
Oh man, flag and drag from Haru pushed into the river. Teleport now being channeled. JeongHoon is cut off from the rest of the team. Dragon is spawned, it's inside the pit. Sertuss is on a flanking position. Dagda, what do you make of this Vitality? They're on the hunt.
I mean, flashes across the board except for Treatz are going to be so important for SK. Good poke from Sertuss to try and whittle down those health bars, make this all in all that more deadly. But I have to keep my eyes on JeongHoon as well, see if he can find these flanks, because right now he's just not getting those options. But an Infernal Rift like this gives you so many more rooms to find those flank opportunities.
Oh, that's right, that's right. So many options for that Darius to move around, for LeBlanc to poke. Right now she's just chucking chain after chain onto Alphari's Ornn. He frankly don't give a damn. The dragon has been started and peeled away from SK, holding onto the trigger.
So Treatz actually used the exhaust there to get access to his flash as well. So all flash is now available on SK's side.
Fight, fight. Treatz coming in from the flank. Treatz coming in from the flank. He's got the quickness available. Flash is forward. Finds the knockup. That's a kill onto Karzi. What can SK do? And the turnaround is fantastic. Call of the Forge God inside the Cataclysm of the Grand Entrance. And Vitality are wrecking SK. Destroying SK. It looked so good until it didn't.
It was a great start, but the AoE from Vitality takes them apart. And while you're all grouped up here, I mean, just watch all the knockups that are coming. Treatz, great engage on towards the Sivir, but watch where Perks is. Perks completely untouched on the backside. Haru goes golden as well to deny it. And then you're getting all this massive AoE. 4 members all hit by that knockup into the Cataclysm, into the charge from Alphari. Everything is hitting onto every member of SK except for Sertuss. So Sertuss, well, he tries his best, but he's the only one that makes it home to tell the story.
Oh my word, I was so hyped. I think as well, it's probably pretty crucial that Haru used that stopwatch. God, he's not showing up. The stopwatch preventing the charm, preventing the knockup, preventing the CC, so that he could find the flag and drag in the Cataclysm. That was probably team fight winning.
Yeah, honestly, because he would have got caught, as you say, in that combo then from Jezu, and the last breath alongside everything else would have been just too hot to handle. But now Vitality get a dragon on the board for themselves. They're going to start, if they can keep control of these dragons, looking to start adding more and more of that extra damage to their case. And I think that's a bit scary when you already see how much they can do.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. 62% saying no. I think a lot of viewers at home will probably just be catching up with that team fight. Just before we jump into the next one, SK stepping forward. A couple ultimates available to them. 1 second for the quickness from Treatz. He's looking for the charm and has found it. Haru's going to be flagging and dragging forward. Cataclysm down. Gilius manages to escape. The Forge God is called, and that's going to be Gilius sacrificing himself. Do Vitality fancy themselves a shot at Baron, or going to continue the pressure? Treatz trying to push for an SK. They're scattered. SK are scattered in their own side of the rift.
It becomes so hard. I mean, Sertuss is just nearly taken out, but it becomes so hard for SK when you're in this position. If you get pushed in, you can't look for the picks that you were hoping for with this composition. And again, this is where I was looking at SK going, hey, look, Dragon's there. It's nice if you can get that big fight, but look for top towers. Look to open up the map. Look to find ways to get Jezu more gold and try and keep trading effectively across the board.
Just before we get another fight, Berlin and everybody at home, please put your hands together for Perks' 2,000th LEC assist. He is in fact now at 2,004. We needed 2 of them this game to secure it. He managed to do it in a gigantic team fight. Phenomenal performance. I mean, the team really helping him out this time round. Vitality in a commanding position. Reminder, they closed this game out. They guaranteed at least one of those tiebreaker scenarios.
And I think Perks has had a fantastic split for himself. The fact he's able to pick up his 2,000th assist as well here is incredible. Like, he has been honestly the soul of Vitality this split. Finding those moments to work with Laparov and maybe gonna look to work with Haru here as well.
It's blowing my nose, my man.
Sorry.
Don't leave me hanging there. Nevertheless, LeBlanc was hunting. And I think for SK, you know exactly what this team composition wants to do. So what we need to do now is just wait for the time they pull the trigger. 2 minutes until the next dragon. They are significantly behind. And they're in a composition that, frankly, SK have to be proactive. They have to push their buttons, go forward, or it doesn't work. Right now, they may be in some trouble. Sertuss being flanked by 3 members.
Oh, wow, we're really going.
No, we're indeed. Teleport's now being channeled. Perks won't be able to find the Frost. Orb of Deception comes out. The chains will put some damage back, and Sertuss stays alive. Just a few seconds longer for Kazi to pick up the kill. And it feels bad. It feels bad seeing that happen. The tower didn't even fall either.
Yeah, there's no even opportunity to try and trade this as SK because you're so far behind. But Vitality looking to see if maybe they can turn over towards the Dragon. This could be dangerous. This is where this AoE from Treatz, from JeongHoon can come into play.
Do you believe in Gilius magic? Do you believe in Gilius magic? He needs something gigantic. 20 seconds before Sertuss is alive. He's got that teleport available to him. Vitality trying to interrupt. SK are somewhat split. Jezu's going to be late to the party. Baron down to 3,000 and stop the peel away. LeBlanc is trying to dissuade SK. Call of the Forge God whiffs, doesn't find any knockup, but Jezu does the final breath onto Kazi. Gilius is outside the pit, they'll re-engage. That's a kill onto Kazi. Now LeBlanc stepping out, and so is Haru. Alfari's running for his life. Perks making his way from the mid lane. SK find 2 kills. How bold are they feeling, Dagda?
I mean, Perks wasn't there, and I think they're feeling real bold right now. They're moving over towards the Baron, and I just don't think you have the damage here. As Vitality to carry this, Perks is already at half health. He will try and TP back in, but this Baron could be gone before he gets there.
There is a smite available for Gilius. Sertuss stepping forward, those chains dissuading some form of pressure. LeBlanc stepping up, 5,000 HP, 4,000 HP. Perks teleported in behind. Spirit Rush is up. The charm will not go. Well, does it finds its target on the Sertuss. Baron is secured though.
But who found who?
That's a big gold exchange. Perks is going to use the stopwatch, the hourglass rather, to buy some time. SK, they're back in this. They've got Baron, they've got the buff, they've got the gold, and in 10 seconds they can get themselves a dragon.
And they can move over towards it immediately. Perks is off the map. He's not going to be here. And this was just a great call from SK. Vitality commit too many members to the pit. And you can see JeongHoon here keeping the damage onto Perks. Means Perks can't be relevant in this fight. Laparov overcommits with Karzi's positioning. SK just jump on him. As soon as Karzi comes out of this, there's the combo. You don't have your team, but look at your bottom left corner. We're going for the Dragon.
SK's comp thrives in this scenario. They love the skirmishes. They love the 2v2s and the 3v3s. Vitality were not able to stack the saves. They were not able to stack the disengages. Infernal Dragon secured. 3. There is 1 more for the soul. And that 2,500 gold deficit means bugger all at this point.
And that's the thing. I mean, for SK fighting to keep their playoffs hopes alive, having Jezu on this Yasuo against Perks, who's so well known for it on the international stage. SK trying to see if they could catch that Infernal Soul and find that moment to strike back against Vitality.
Fair dinkum play, SK. Punishing that Baron decision. Remember, what was it? 38% of the fans on Discord saying that the comp will work. I wonder if those numbers will change. I wonder if they will. I'll ask producer to keep an eye on it for me. If anyone goes to change them, you're allowed to flip-flop. I give you permission to flip-flop.
I just want to know what else SK have in the tank, because Haru's forced to flash, and this is only day 1 of Super Week, and I'm ready for this, SK.
Oh, that's a great point. Is this the only comp they pull out? Is this the shenanigans SK have prepared? Quick reminder before this next fight. SK will be playing Vitality today, XL tomorrow, G2 on day 3. And we have some crazy, crazy scenarios. But for SK, they're still behind. They do have all the tools to pick fights. They've still got this Red Bull Baron power play to work with. Jezu will arrive to the fight. He's got Infinity Edge secured. Haru's waiting in the wings. He's level 11. Will have to be ability to engage if he wants to. Correction, level 13. Sorry, I was looking at Lebrov. SK will be happy with that. They got themselves 2 towers in the last couple of minutes. They've closed that gold gap. They've got the dragon. I think we're going to be waiting for this Infernal Soul.
I agree, and I think that Jezu's building straight towards a GA. He's not even going to finish his heal item. He's just like, look, I know how deep we have to go into these fights. I know how much AoE is there. Right, if I can get a second chance at life, a second lease to carry these fights, that could be the difference maker. And for the moment, SK are just grouping up as 5. They want to make sure there's no way that Vitality can find any sort of picks to bring it back.
And I think it is important to remember that despite the fact I'm buying into the SK hype and I want to see this fight play out, ultimately it's only been one of the engages that has gone SK's way. Vitality have consistently, for 30 minutes, won the team fight. They've lost one and they won multiple dragons. They've been able to outplay. I think the Jarvan and Galio combination plus Ornn have been able to disrupt SK's push and pressure multiple times.
I think the difference maker here is that you're starting to see like the facilitator in that Ahri shine through, right? With the Everfrost, the Void Staff, the Zhonya's, and you're not really having enough upfront burst to really kill people or carry a team fight at the moment. The person that is carrying team fights is Xerxe, but he's had everything thrown his direction in these fights, from Treatz, from Sertuss, from Gilius, and with Jezu over the track as well. So if they can try and find Xerxe in these fights, that could be the difference maker. But if they end up in these like massive AoE CC trains from Vitality, maybe, just maybe, there's enough damage on Vitality to keep that ball rolling, continue CCing people that you can get enough of those rotations out from perks.
Dagda, I don't normally like doing this in game because we're currently casting it and I'm excited to see this comp. But do you think SK can do the impossible? Do you think they can make this comp work?
Yeah.
And I want you to give me percentages. How likely do you think SK will be, based on what you've seen for 30 minutes, with 1 minute and 40 to go to Dragon, that they can actually close this game out?
Honestly, I think it's as high as like 40%. Like it is
that high?
Yeah, genuinely. They have a really good chance here. They have a great engage. They've, as long as they can get onto Xerxe, I think they have a chance to carry it, especially if Jezu can finish that GA. Like, they're going to be in a really dire spot here. You're even getting the tank stats coming through as well on things like the Vi, who's going to be able to stick around for longer. She's even going the Anathema's Chains to just lock up Xerxe even longer. Like, everything is starting to come through for SK. And look, as you say, it's a 2,000 gold lead now for Vitality. That doesn't mean anything at this stage.
Especially when you take a look and you consider the additional statistics that 3 Dragons are going to be throwing into, you know, the kit. It's exactly like we talked about, 1 minute until Dragon. So Dagda, please look at the minimap for me. Please set up some expectations on who is pushing first, who's in the right position, and do you think it's going to help them not only secure the objective, but win the ensuing fights?
SK are in a fantastic spot if they reset now, which I'm not sure they are, because you've got top wave that's being collected by Alphari. Bot wave is pushing in their favor as well. And if they can try and get control over this river, first, it becomes very hard for Vitality to face check. Again, we talked about that Infernal Rift. You have so many different angles of attack here as SK, but they actually haven't reset. They're happy to just stay on the map for the moment. And it's 28 seconds until this Dragon.
Haru was standing on top of a ward. 4 members of Vitality inside the river. They were in the bush, and with Haru on top of the ward, SK had information. 20 seconds to Dragon. SK being pushed a little bit back, but they're trying to catch the wave.
If Vitality lose this fight, it could go terribly. That wave on bot side means you could tear through the bases SK. This fight could mean everything, Quickshot.
On the hunt, on the hunt, on the hunt. Where's the engage? Alphari, where's the horn? Blow the horn of Gondor. Not doing it just yet. The Dragon's up now, 2 seconds. SK, they're on the wrong side of the rift. Or are they? We'll find out. Where's the initiation? Do SK pull the trigger first? They're trying to split up Vitality. Haru's chunked out. He's lost half his hit points. And all of a sudden, Vitality back away. JeongHoon just hit 16. Guillotine's at 16.
And that's the thing, is that Sertuss can actually get a lot of poke here. Yes, you talk about the lack of range on SK, but Vitality are just in the same boat.
I've seen this movie before. It didn't go well for SK. Will it happen in the sequel? Treatz on the flank, finds the knockup, finds the damage. Kazi gets cold in the river, and Vitality are split. SK have destroyed Vitality. They find themselves 3 quick kills. They may not be done yet. Perkz is running for his life. He's low. Just as
great flash.
time. Fantastic from LeBlanc. Treatz goes forward and he gets ignited under the tower. Treatz stays alive just long enough. The grand entrance from LeBlanc. All of a sudden, LeBlanc is the next target. He's buying time. The dragon's being secured.
How many
The soul
stopwatches is there?
picked up. What time is it, Dagda? It's Infernal Soul time for SK.
It's SK time! They get the soul, they get the towers, and look at the map! There's a beautiful old Baron there from him as well, Quickshot. Screw the 40%, I'm on the SK hunt train!
What is going on? Oh, okay. Europe, LEC fans, I promise you need to work real hard to make this comp work. Yasuo, Rakan, bottom lanes are coming. Prepare yourself, solo queue.
I'm not ready for it, but I'm all on board here in this game. Treatz with a great flanking again. You have so many different spots that you can come in from here, and Treatz find it perfectly. Immediately, Gilius goes in, gets the spell shield, and sets up for Treatz, but you get the follow-up again coming through from Jezu, and there's nobody here. Like Perkz, he's trying to find a flank spot so he could threaten the back line. Sertuss is keeping him busy. And again, you're a facilitator in the Ahri. You're not a carry. You cannot be the one that is carrying these fights.
Infernal Soul secured. Baron secured. Gold lead for the first time in probably the whole game. And I don't know if we still have that Discord vote going or if it timed out, but could we have a look at the numbers? I'll ask producers to take a look. But for SK, I have to just mention, if SK close this game out, this is great for every fan of competitive League of Legends, because in order to avoid that scenario discussed in ReadyCheck where 5 teams for players were locked by the next game, by game 3 of Rogue versus XL, Vitality needed to win. If SK upset the apple cart, oh my word, hashtag every game counts is so freaking true, and this old man is so happy.
This is where it gets dangerous for SK. What their comp relies on is being able to dive in. Exactly, yeah. You can't dive those towers, and it means that Karzi's incredibly safe. So again, it feels like SK are just going to shove these waves. They're going to play ping pong, and again, we're waiting for these big objectives.
I'll tell you now, while they shouldn't dive a tower, Gilius is not the player that listens to shoulds or shouldn'ts. Again, that's number 1. Number 2, with the Elder Dragon coming up to 3.5 and having Soul, you could dive a tower with the Elder Dragon laser with the amount of damage they have. If you combo the Yasuo Final Breath, which is currently 3 items, Death Dance, as well as the Shield Bow and Eye Edge, plus then that laser beam from Elder, that's a lot of burst damage to come out.
And that's exactly what they're playing for. Like, this is going to be a case of, hey, look, let's try and use this Baron or at least use the remainder of this Baron to get, like, the little bit of towers that are left available on the outside of the map, so that then you're kept in your base's Vitality. And again, we kind of come back into this question of, hey, what do Vitality do when they're stuck in their base? What if they do when they have to face check this team from SK? So right now, SK are keeping Vitality busy. Perkz, at least we'll get to shove out this top wave, but yeah. I mean, again, SK will just ping-pong the wave back in just a moment's time.
Look, I think the comp from SK, they want to stall, they want to buy some time for these big team fights, whether it's around an objective or maybe a tower dive, so I'm not surprised. What I will say very briefly is that the fan vote is now swinging close to 50-50. It was 38-62, now it's around 48-52. Guardian Angel has been picked up for Karzi, and I want to take a quick look at the damage dealt throughout the whole game. A lot of credit needs to be given here to Sertuss, that LeBlanc. It's very difficult to play the champion's composition. And obviously Jezu, the damage he has found has allowed him to secure 4 of those kills, 6 assists. He also has the Guardian Angel picked up. So how many stopwatches do we have? How many hourglasses do we have? How many GAs do we have? These team fights are going to go long.
And I think for Karzi, that's the crucial part. He wants to be able to survive that initial burst, because that's all that SK have. But, as you say, Sertuss has been so good at finding poke before these fights and making it really uncomfortable for Vitality. Because, yes, Vitality have a ranged AD carry. They also have Perkz on this Ahri, but the ability for Sertuss to just very quickly pop in, get off a combo and escape means that you don't really have that quick follow-up to deal with Sertuss, or even have the range with how far Sertuss can dive forward over these walls.
Let's not forget that those ornaments have come in all the way down the list. What on earth is a Rime Forged Grass? Like, what is Rime? R-I-M-E. Seriously. I'm a hater for the names of ornaments, just, you know, you haven't heard me rant about it before.
Yeah. So you're just going to take this opportunity
I'm just going to take this opportunity. Because look, it's a minute until Elder. I know for a fact that these teams don't want to engage, at least SK. They don't want to overstep. They've got a very short range comp. They just want to fight. What I will ask you though, Dagda, version 1 of the Dragon fights went the way of Vitality. Version 2 of the Dragon fights went the way of SK. And before the Dragon is even available, do SK fancy and engage? It looks like they want it.
Yeah, they're trying to eye it up, but a great ward there, spots out where Gilius is. So poke onto Haru, Gilius will have to try and hop out of there, but...
Apprehend, 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 catches on Haru. The Steel Tempest will not find his knockup though, and Sertuss forced to run for his life. He manages to flash, 45 seconds, but they got the call, the Forge God, and on the hunt.
Exactly, and there was nothing really used except for Sertuss having to burn his flash. He'll still be out, whereas you've got this massive combo still available on SK. Xerxe not having, as you say, on the hunt, the engage from Alphari. I mean, what our Vitality, like you're not able to really get in here.
There's no ways you can see the Elder. There's no ways they can see the Elder.
You have to fight, but it's just so hard to. I mean, your big engage tool is down Alphari. Xerxe being able to create spaces down. So you are heavily reliant now on Haru with a great Cataclysm and then a knock-up from Alphari to try and dissuade SK.
Sertuss! Oh my God! That damage is disgusting! Haru forced to run for his life. The Cataclysm not going to be able for the Treatz gets the knockup, the follow-up, the final breath, and the GA is popping now. Can SK close it out? Haru's gone so low. Cataclysm dead. They've done it! They've done it! SK Gaming have destroyed Vitality. SK Gaming with Darius, Vi, Yasuo and Rakan have taken down Vitality, have managed to go one step closer towards playoffs, and they have made Super Week in Europe super freaking interesting.
What a performance from SK! They have taken down Vitality and they keep the dream alive!
I am at a loss for words.
What a performance. I mean, this combo was so cool to watch from SK, but as you say, credit to Sertuss, catches Haru at the end of that, gets in onto the back line onto Xerxe, and while Xerxe's coming up from GA, Perks is deleted. SK, that was spectacular.
I think as well, for so long this game was based around fights in the Dragon. SK maybe subverting our expectations, hiding in the bush, and surprising Vitality. That damage, the follow-up instantaneous. Remember, so many ultimates were blown from Vitality just moments before. They couldn't use them in that pivotal fight.
And again, it comes back to what we talked about, right? Vitality haven't been playing for these Dragons. They had the opportunity to set them up in the early stages with push in both mid and bot, but they never did. And SK slowly got them under wraps, then got the Infernal Soul, got the Elder Dragon, and it was, well, didn't even have to get the Elder Dragon. It was just lights out at that stage.
Unbelievable. Your Kia Player of the Game nominees at LEC on Twitter, Gilius, Jezu, and Treatz. I think a really difficult game to call, but very surprising. And Dagda, you said it best. What else have they got in the tank? What other crazy shenanigans have they planned? There are 2 more games for SK, XL and G2, to play later this week. And do they have any more bold team compositions?
I mean, look, in the LPL, we're all for shenaniganery. And the fact that we have this, I am so ready to see what SK have over the course of this weekend, because this was incredible. And the execution looked great. Like, they were all on the same page. We got that strong mid jungle we wanted from them. Like, everything from SK just flowed so well.
The thing that I want to highlight is this was a team that fell behind early. That level 1, level 2 invade on their side of the jungle, I really thought was going to define the game. I didn't know if SK were going to be able to bounce back, but they dug deep. They used their initiation tools. They found the kills they needed to. And we just had an absolute cracker of a game, which also means that that scenario where 5 teams were locked after Rogue Exile is now dead. So now every single game is going to be so much more important because another upset happened in Europe.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic to see. And as you say, I mean, for SK to be able to bring this to the table when the chips are down, when the pressure's on, they bring out this incredible draft and perform so well. Especially, like, not even just highlighting the jungle. Jezu as well got set so far behind. Being able to come back and be as crucial he was in the Yasuo.
It's even more beautiful that is against Perks in particular, right? In the bottom lane, there is just some storytelling there that's too great. Dagda, that was great. I'll see you again on Sunday. That does it for us in the Castles. We're going to head over to Law, who's standing by with the Yasuo one-trick himself.
Thank you, guys. And Jezu, thank you for joining me after this game. What do you say after a game like this?
I say GG, easy.
Okay. Although, it was quite difficult in the beginning. Tell me about especially in the mid lane play where you're chasing up Labrov. flashing, everything, you don't get anything, and then Sivir is just stacking the wave. How was that for you?
It felt kind of bad. I think this guy should die. I just played really bad, and when he gets away, I see the wave pushing back. I know it's going to be tough early. We have a team that we want to snowball with. That's not going to happen. So we just waited, and then we played fight good, I think, most of them, and then it worked.
It's a difficult draft to play, I want to say, especially in a week like this. What made you go for this choice?
So I was thinking Sivir is pretty good right now, so I was looking for an answer. And Yasuo was working pretty well in Scrim, so yeah, I picked it.
Nice move, and a nice win, I want to say. What was the defining point in the game when you knew that you would be able to come back? I think the Baron play maybe was something?
Yeah, it's the Nashor. Before the Nashor, it was kind of hard, like we were hoping for them to int on side, try to look for picks. And then on the Nashor, I don't even know what happened. I was pushing midwave, I think. But then I see that we have a play, and then we win the fight, and then I knew the game was won after the Nashor.
The race for playoffs is on. I mean, you have Gilius on your team. He pulled off miracle runs in the past. And in the opening video of this week, he was saying, we just have to win games. I guess that's pretty much easy to say. You just won the first one. Now you have Xerxe and Jezu on the next coming days. What can we expect from SK?
A lot of spicy stuff, like today, and a lot of wins as well.
Excited. Thank you, Jezu, for the interview.
Thank you, Laura.
Congrats on taking down Vitality today. And Xerxe, please tell us more about this game.
I would absolutely love to, as we get a slow-mo replay of the badass that is Jezu. I just gotta say it's really awesome to see their approach to this week in general, because we've had interviews with Jezu in the weeks that it wasn't going well either for SK, and it seemed like they weren't able to turn the ship around at all. But now, Trouble, they get a win. And what kind of a win? A comeback win in the first game of their Super Week for playoffs.
I think when you're back against the wall, we said they need to win all 3 games in Super Week. We stick to your guns. You stick to things that have worked for you. You know, Jezu on Vayne, on his marksman. Suddenly, Yasuo comes out of nowhere. He pulls that cheeky smile at the end and he says, we do have a bunch of spicy picks this weekend as well. And I can't wait to see what else SK have up their sleeve.
Yeah.
The craziest thing about this comeback is it comes after like level 2 or 3. Jezu's just leaving bot lane, trying to chase down killing. No, we thought it was over. No, wasn't over. Somehow made it come back at the end.
Let's take a look at the draft and then try and decide how much the writing was on the wall, because obviously results-based analysis, well, they executed really good in the team fight, so they made it back, but that's not necessarily what you'd associate with this. I'm just thinking back to what you told us about the importance of the Ornn right now, etc., importance of easy to execute team fight comps.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if you look over at Vitality, it's pretty clear-cut. The Jarvan dives in, the Galio dives in, you've got the Ornn horn as well from super far away, the Sivir has a bunch of AoE damage, but what they haven't accounted for is that the reason Darius was picked over in spring as well was the fact that there were a bunch of melee characters playing into him, the Galio, the Jarvan, the Ornn, all want to dive into you, they give you pretty free stacks. On the other hand side, you need to stop Sivir from sieging early on. The wind wall will stop her wave clear, will stop the ricochet, will stop the Q as well. So I've seen it in a bunch of ERLs actually, the Yasuo being an answer to the Sivir, it's been working pretty well. And we also know when Yasuo does reach these 3 to 4 items, he's pretty much unbeatable.
100%. I think it's perfect that you bring up Yasuo as a great counter pick into the Sivir and the Ornn ult as well. I also think that Sivir, well, yes, she has a spell shield to like work as decent peel for her. When you're playing against both a Rakan and Devi, actually making that spell shield have value to stop the engage that then gets comboed up with Yasuo is just not possible. You know, Vi is going to blue smite you whenever she's running in with her ultimate. Rakan, you know, even if you cleanse the charm, you're still going to get hit by the knockup. It's just very hard to deal with.
It's very hard to deal with, but you would say in the situation that Vitality was in and the advantage they had actually brought up for themselves, it should have been comfortable. So let's see where the snowball starts being stopped and then eventually gets turned around by SK, which was ahead of that first Baron that they get.
Yeah, and Sertuss is just greeting so hard for the wave. Look where his teammates are, all on the bottom side of the map. Vitality had full control over mid. They were actually looking for topside vision control, I believe, and end up just turning that into a very easy kill on a side laner off of a teleport, and it forces SK into trying to contest for this Baron that ends up, or it forces Vitality into a position where it goes horribly wrong.
But if you see right here, Pex is one of the most pivotal members for this team fight. The Ahri, he has no ultimate, he has no HP, but he cannot contest what's happening in the backline. And once that knockup does land on a crucial member, which is the Sivir, then the Yasuo can follow up. And there were more SK members in this fight in the jungle than there were Vitality members. And again, one of your strongest members, which is that Ahri, had used the ultimate to catch off Sertuss on the sideline and had no HP to enter that new fight.
And luckily for SK, one thing that had been going right for them is that they had kept control of the dragon dragons, meaning that now you find yourself in a position where come the next dragon fight, you can get so much for that.
And they did the exact same thing versus Rogue, which we highlighted earlier on the Telestrator. They choked them off of vision and they come through angles from a flank that the team cannot see. Vitality had no idea Treatz was on the flank. He gets again another very crucial knock-up onto Sivir, and somehow like this, Kazi just disappears.
Well, it's another position too where Perkz is just out of fight. This time not because he was taken down super low, but he was going for a very similar look to Treatz, trying to flank over the north side of that entire fight, but was constantly scouted out by the SK Vision, by I believe it was actually Sertuss that was trying to match him sort of blow for blow on that side. So mid laners sort of zoning each other opens up the opportunity for Treatz to go get that kill. But still, at this point, they're only halfway there. Still living on a prayer. Usually it's got Gilius the answers though, but it was Treatz consistently in that fight and later down mid lane to close it out.
Absolutely, they did not stop believing for SK. We're also going to take a look at the final fight and highlight someone that we were in awe of during this game in the green room. Treatz on his Rakan, so pivotal in setting up everything that SK needed in these fights, and especially his Yasuo ender.
Oh man, I mean, it's a good start, right? Sertuss starts this one off, almost completely deleting Heart from the fight, but then watch Treatz all the way back behind the team, pops the quickness into the flash, double knock-up on the entrance. Jezu follows up off of it perfectly. It was just a gorgeous move because the entire start of that fight, he was trying to play far back, trying to play in the fog of war behind the rest of his teammates so that Vitality wouldn't even be ready for it. He instantly pounces on the trigger, and SK, when they're the ones initiating the fights, looks so clean.
And this is a super week, baby. This is what happens in a super week. You cannot let this slip through your hands when you are Vitality. Yes, they are in a comfortable position, but even if you do make it to those playoffs, you want to be as high as possible, and you do not want to be at risk of missing out.
That's 2 games in a row that have slipped out of Vitality's hands. That's brutal.
It is brutal.
And I just want to say that out of all the scenarios Quickshot was highlighting for that Chaos 3-4
Are we still on track?
tiebreaker, we are definitely on track.
We are definitely on track. For SK then, finally, we said it, they need to come into this week, and it's not as much miracle territory as it was, but it kind of is, right? Because you see that these games, they aren't as straightforward as you think they're going to be because of the pressure that is involved. So the fact, Trouble, that they can kick everything off with a win here is going to be so important for them.
And I think it's so important that it was against Vitality, right?
Yeah.
One of the top of the leaderboard teams, one of the strongest teams in the early game, and to show that you can fall behind but also come back shows also that element of surprise that maybe sometimes comes with Gilius in the team.
I'll tell you what, SK, when you expect them to win, they never do, but when you are not believing in them, that's when they show up, and they're showing up this week.
So we're not believing in them, so maybe they'll
Don't
keep
jinx.
winning. We'll see. So after the break, we're going to look forward to an absolutely fantastic matchup, Rogue versus XL, and Laura is going to talk to Rogue's head coach Freddy about their recent slump. Oh, that's sad. Stay tuned.
Don't go anywhere.